You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome back to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again, and today we have another amazing guest for y'all. We have the one and only Robert Sherman. He is a correspondent for News Nation, and he has an amazing new book that you need to check out. It's Lessons from the Front, a rookie war correspondent in Ukraine and Israel. First and foremost, good morning to you, Robert. How you doing, man?
Doing all right, and thank you so much for having me.
Yes, sir. Man, tell us a little bit about this book project, because being a person in media is not an easy task. So kind of break down what inspired you to put this out for the world.
You know, I mean, for most of these books, you know, that talk about war zones, I mean, it's always written from the perspective of an expert veteran war correspondent who says, I've seen everything, this is the way the world is, and this is the way the world should be. Mine is the total opposite. I was 25 years old. I had no concept of the world outside of the United States. I was just a couple of years out of college. And the next thing I knew, Russia had invaded Ukraine, and I found myself on assignment in an active war zone for the first time in my entire life. And I'll be honest with you, that day, I could not have told you where Ukraine was on a map. But that is, you know, my experience there was being, you know, just absolutely thrown into the deep end of the pool with no experience as a war correspondent. But it's in those moments in which, you know, you've really outkicked your coverage, in which you dig the deepest and learn the most, not just about the world, but yourself. And I mean, my book, Lessons from the Front, it's not really a geopolitical book. I mean, it's set in Ukraine and the Middle East during these wars. But the lessons from the front are what's really important in life. And, you know, 25-year-old Robert was a little misguided as to what he thought was important in life. You know, he thought it was material. He thought it was status related. And after seeing so many people lose their homes, lose their lives, lose their loved ones, and you quickly realize that the most important things in life are fragile. Time, family, home. And those are the things that I keep nearest and dearest to my heart now.
When you think about the human part of this book, how important was it for you to not put it into the political world or anything like that, but kind of have that human touch first POV experience?
I think that's the most important element of all of this. And I mean, one of the points that I try and make in here is the world can look like a very simple place when you stay in the 40,000 foot view, when you keep it through a geopolitical lens. And you'll see it, you know, on television, in podcasts and radio shows. You know, this invasion was justified, this strike was warranted, you know, those people deserved what happened to them or whatnot. Let me tell you, the world looks a lot more complicated when you look an Israeli in the eyes a couple of days after October 7th, and then you turn around and look a Gazan in the eyes who doesn't know where their next meal is going to come from. Yes, you can frame this all as politics, right, wrong, black, white, but when you start looking people and you see the pain in their pupils and you hear the trembles in their voices and you put that humanity first, none of this is simple. And I have no answers to the world, only more questions, but a couple of lessons learned about what's actually important.
As a Cleveland native, your work has taken you to report in Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, West Bank, Red Sea, et cetera. Understanding how important your work is, being almost in real time of history being made. You're on the front lines, on the ground, being able to do these amazing things. I mean, how does it feel to be able to come from where you are to be on a massive scale where everyone's watching your work?
You know, I mean, it, of course, always conjures up mixed emotions for me, because on the one hand, I'm extremely grateful to bear witness firsthand, you know, to the moment in which the world changes. But I mean, on the other hand, a point that I make in all of this is, you know, I go into Ukraine for a few months at a time, and I spend time on the front lines and in the Donbass, and I spend time in the bomb shelters, but I always get to leave. I always get to go back home to Cleveland, Ohio, and see my family. For other people, for the people in Gaza, for the people in Israel, for the people in Ukraine, they don't get to leave. this is their everyday reality. And I think that that's, the most important thing for me, which is what humbles me and, what levels my sense in all of this. But that being said, the reason that I go back and I keep doing what I do, has been this curiosity that has been unlocked in my soul, because I recognize from that first day in Ukraine, there's so much about the world that I still don't understand, that I have to learn. And that's why I keep going back, is to develop a better understanding of the world, because I view it as so complicated. And I hope to share those perspectives with people back here in the United States to help inform their own personal choices, to help inform their own views of the world. If it has any impact whatsoever, I mean, that's why I do what I do.
Once again, this morning we're talking to Robert Sherman and all about his book. You can get it right now, Lessons from the Front, a rookie war correspondent in Ukraine and Israel. My last question for you is, taking all this in, I mean, you have this book out, sharing your piece, your perspective. Let's talk about that humility that you were talking about moments ago. Learning from the people that were actually in there, living inside those conflicts every day. Were there any conversation or a conversation that you had that kind of opened up your eyes and reframed how you think about war?
Absolutely. I mean, I think about this, we were sitting in this refugee shelter in Ivano-Frankivsk, Ukraine, and there's this woman, I call her Olivia in my book, and she's sitting there with her young daughter, maybe 3 or 4 years old. And I'm watching, the daughter is asking, why can't we go home? And where is daddy? And, the mother is trying to avoid answering all of these questions. And their hometown was just seized by Russia. And so they can't go home. I mean, it's currently being occupied. And finally, this woman turns to her little daughter and says, the reason we have to run is because there are mythical goblins who are chasing us. And we have to escape, this fantasy world. And it just made me realize that there is no good way to explain war to a child. There is no good way to understand conflict from the human lens. And every concept that I had of war beforehand came from Hollywood films and video games. But when you see those kind of little interactions between a mother and her daughter trying to explain why all of this is happening, why they can't go home, why daddy is gone and never coming back, all of a sudden it hits a lot harder and a lot closer to home, and you can't help but empathize with people.
Once again, get a copy of this book. Is available right now. Lessons from the Front. Been talking to Robert Sherman this morning. Like always, I want to say thank you for your time, man.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.